At the meeting of the state ministers in charge of handlooms held at New Delhi, the Prime Minister of India said, I am very glad and very happy to be with you all. I think we have to give special attention to the handloom sector. For the last year and a half, I have been receiving a lot of representations from handloom workers and leaders in the handloom movement. I know something about it because having been for long in public life, it is not impossible to know something about handlooms, their importance and their present difficulties. I have a feeling that it has not received the attention it deserved for some time. There was a time when the father of the nation and others took this as the most important part of our national movement, not necessarily handlooms but cloth as such. After food, cloth is the most important need, and it had certain amount of patriotic element built into it because it was one of the matters, one of the things on which the country was being exploited by foreigners, by the British in particular, and so it had entered into our national soul right from the days of our independence struggle. Therefore, it has a special connotation, a special significance in India. Another special aspect of this is that it is one of our most ancient crafts, and India has been famous for it for many centuries, maybe for thousands of years. When many civilized countries of today were not very much better than barbarians, it was India which flourished because of its trade, of its textiles, handicrafts, etc. Even today, India is reckoned for its cottage industry, small industries, village industries, and handloom cloth. These are the things which come to mind when people abroad think of India, not the big industries which are just a replica of what they have in the West. No imitator ever commands respect. It is the initiator who commands respect. There is something original about it. There is something ancient about it, something to be proud of. Unfortunately, this has fallen on evil days as all other high values of antiquity and nobility. But history has a cyclic motion. All these things will come back. I know from my own experience that the price of something handmade in the Western markets may be 100 times more than the same thing made on a machine. There is an element of justice in it. There is an element of aesthetics in it. In a machine made thing, every product is exactly like every other product. There is no stamp of the person on it. In the handmade things, no two things can be identical. So each article has the stamp of the maker on it. That is why it bears a much higher price, and more than the price, a much higher respect. Indian handicrafts are famous all over the world, yet there is so much of middlemanship in this that the producer of the handicrafts gets very little. Prices are very high where they sell. It is the middleman or the trader who takes all the cream. That is because our marketing mechanism has not been working as well as it should, and as a result, the producer suffers. Now this is the case with regard to handlooms also. So it is time that we at least look at our own history, find ourselves, discover ourselves, and see what we can do. Apart from what we take from abroad, we have to find what we can really bring out from our own history, of which we are all proud. Not many of us are aware of what it is. The pride is of a general nature. But more urgent than that is the reason that today the handloom weaver in India is groaning under a multiplicity of difficulties and hardships. If for no other reason, at least to get him out of these difficulties, we have to do something very determined, and this is what really put me into action when we had the change in the Council of Ministers. Several members of Parliament and leaders told me from time to time that this sector needs immediate and concentrated attention. So I told the Minister for Handlooms specifically that he has to really take up a few schemes and see that they are implemented. There are lots of schemes, lots of programs to be implemented. No question about that. However, let us concentrate on a few things first and then go on to others as we go along. My appeal would be to have a list of priorities, stick to that list. Stick to those priorities, have some targets, some areas, and go about the job in a very business-like manner. I have been discussing this subject off and on. Last night we had a little discussion about what needs to be born in the first instance and how we can go on to other things. The first thing which appears to me the most important is the availability of yarn. I have heard times without number that the production side is not inadequate. You have the yarn in the country and there is no need to import yarn because it is being produced. At least we have the capacity to produce the yarn, but the fact is that it does not reach the person who needs it. We had the same problem in the public distribution system. We say we are self-sufficient. Then why should people go without food in any part of the country? It is very clear that there is food in one part and there are people hungry in another part. If they can be given the purchasing power, if they work and food is available, therefore, then the problem is solved. You do not have to bring anything from outside. It is only a question of organization. For the last year and a half, we have been working on the food front. Therefore, we have necessarily selected certain very backward, very remote, very difficult and inaccessible blocks. Because of the very methodical approach, by and large, we have been able to remove the bottlenecks and we have been able to do that and be successful in that.